Hey, this is Nige Rockett from ONSLAUGHT, and I'm blowing it up with the mighty Z at MetalgodZradiO.
Nige Rockett from ONSLAUGHT is on the phone with us. We're going to ask him some questions and maybe we'll get some good answers. How likely is that?
Depends what the questions are.
What was your first rock concert?
Oh, does that count punk music as well?
Absolutely.
The Buzzcocks, 1977, Bristol Colston Hall, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I remember it very, very clearly, and it was very, very good.
And what was the first band T-shirt you got?
Oh, wow. First band T-shirt would have been the Sex Pistols. Never mind the bollocks, the yellow T-shirt with the album cover on the front. Very, very bright and very, very offensive at the time, but also very cool.
And did you get much flack from it, from people that didn't know what it was about?
No, not really. I mean, it was kind of weird back then in the sort of late 70s. There was kind of lots of people got backlashes and lots didn't, you know. I guess it kind of where you lived. I mean, Bristol had a very big, healthy punk scene. So I guess a lot of the people around my age were into that kind of thing and didn't kind of pick fights. You know, we used to have a lot of fights with kind of mods and stuff around that time, which were the guys on scooters. But no, I mean, not really. No, we never really got much hassle as a punk, although I know lots of people who did. But fortunately for me, no, I didn't.
And what was the first music you bought with your own money?
I remember that was Damn, Damn, Damn by the Damned, which is actually probably, I think, is officially the first punk album ever released. Would have been late 76, early 77, I think. But yeah, the ones where they're splattered in cake all over the front cover. So yeah, that was my first album that I bought with my own money. And
I imagine you might have some collections. What would you say is your most prized music collectible?
This is the thing. I don't, because I sold everything. I was a massive record collector from like 76 up until around 82. I used to go into the centre of Bristol every Saturday morning because we had sort of 4 or 5 absolutely amazing, cool record shops that had everything you wanted. All new releases would come in on a Saturday morning, and there was like punks everywhere listening to the new records and stuff. And it came to 82, and when we decided to form the band, I needed money for gear, so I basically sold all the valuable records I had, and I had a lot of valuable records at the time. And I think even in 82, I think I sold all those albums for around £1,500 at the time, which was a hell of a lot of money to buy myself Marshall amps and cabinets and guitars, you know. So in a way, it helped me massively having that collection, because it got my career in real music going.
And was there one piece of that collection which was really hard to let go of?
They were all very hard to let go of. It was a real wrench to do it, you know, because those were the records of my youth, the records that I loved and played regularly, you know. So yeah, it was really tough to let them go. I mean, but a friend of mine bought most of them, which was kind of cool, because I knew they were going to a good home. But as I said, it bought me some brand new equipment. So yeah, it was a wrench in one way, but it's kind of paid me back tenfold over the years with what's happened in the future. So it was a wise decision, although it was hard at the time.
What would you say is your most prized instrument?
It's sat right next to me now. Actually, it's a 1986 Jackson Charvel guitar that I still use now. I recorded all the albums on it except for the first one, and it's my baby is still here. It's one of the ones I didn't get rid of when we had a break, and I still play it now, and it plays like an absolute dream because it's very well worn in.
I believe the Chevelle guitar creator lived up here in Northern California and lost a lot of his guitars in the fire. Did you hear about that?
No, I knew they were based there, but no, I didn't hear about that. That's really sad.
Yeah, that is very sad. Have you ever played Les Pauls or V's?
Yeah, I had my parents bought me a V for my 18th birthday, which unfortunately got stolen when we were recording the Force album. There was a break-in at the studio, and it was an amazing guitar. It was custom built, and unfortunately, it got stolen. I'd only had the guitar for like 6 months, so that was a real loss. And yeah, I did have a Les Paul for a short space of time. It was I think it was a 1982 Black Beauty. It was amazing. I had the neck reprofiled to match my Charvel. But it sounded incredible, but it was a little heavy. It was like 2 or 3 times the weight of the Charvels I'm used to. So it was a bit taxing when you're playing a long show having that on you all the time. But great guitar.
But you pretty much always gravitate towards strap body like guitars. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I find them comfortable. And like I said, I've been playing the Charvels since 1986, and they're just really comfortable. The necks are really nice and quick and slim for me. So yeah, I've not really. I did get one of the Randy Rhoads Jacksons when I had the endorsement back in the day, but I didn't find it really comfortable. I just love the comfort of the Charvel straps. They're just perfect for what I want.
How have you adjusted to this COVID world, and how did it immediately impact you?
It's not been too bad, if I'm honest, really. Obviously, I've got a dodgy lung condition, which I've got to be very careful with. So I've got to be very careful with shielding and what have you. But to be honest, since we went into lockdown, I think March the 15th in our house, and that was pretty much the time when everything was going on with the album. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the studio as I normally would when we were mixing the record, which was in Sweden, so I couldn't get there. So we basically mixed the album via email and text message, which was very time consuming and very difficult. But we got there. I mean, you can imagine if I wanted a small change made on a guitar tone, Daniel would have to email me over the files, and I'd have to listen and go back to him. And then any further changes, it was just a nightmare. Something that would take maybe 1 minute in the studio was taking 2 hours. So it was a bit of a struggle that way, but we got the end result. So that took a long time. So as soon as that, it was all the promotion for the album, working on everything. So I've been busy from March 15th right until now. So no time to get bored. So yeah, it's just this stuff goes away. The biggest impact is obviously we've lost all our summer shows and the tours for later on in the year. So we just got to hope it goes away very soon.
No gods, no masters.
Yeah.
Do you come from a religious upbringing?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, which is hence why there's always been a lot of kind of anti-Christian religious material on ONSLAUGHT Records. You know, I was as a young kid, I was kind of forced to go to church every Sunday, singing hymns, reading Bibles, and saying prayers. You know, it's not really ideal when you're that age, when you should be out playing football with your mates and stuff. So it's 4 or 5 years I had to kind of tolerate that until I was old enough to say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. You know, and it's stuck with me ever since. Hence why I feel the need to write these songs now and again. Some people don't understand it. They say it's been done to death, which I guess it has, but it's a kind of personal thing to me. And if I got something to say, I'm going to say it. So.
Was there a particular incident that led you to push it all away? Or did you never really did it never really soak in ever?
No, it didn't. I didn't want to be there from day one, you know. It was just a case of you're coming with us, and that was it. But it was never something that was going to have an effect on me. I don't know why. The rest of the family are fairly religious, you know. Some of them more so than others, but no, it certainly never sank in. I mean, the dislike of it sank in, that was for sure. So, I mean, I had a lot of older friends around the time. We were like 3 or 4 years older than me. Once I got to sort of 9, 10 years old, so they were quite influential, as a more so than your parents and your family would be. So it was a kind of following those guys rather than my family at that point, you know. And what with the emergence of the punk music scene and things like that, it became rebellious. So, but that stayed with me, and it still pisses me off till today, you know.
In your state of youthful rebellion, were you? Did you have a history of vandalism? Were you a troubled youth for a short time?
No, not vandalism. No, that's one thing that I've always hated. Never damaged people's property or anything like that. I've always found that very unsavory. Yeah, I wasn't a good kid from by a long way, but never stealing things or breaking things. That was never part of what I was about or what any of my friends were about, really, when we were kids. Huh?
And sorry. Generation Antichrist is the new album. It's the album of the year in my book so far.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. Most welcome. Have you heard any other releases this year that would be comparable to yours?
I think the 2 albums I've listened to several times this year have been mainly Testament and Lamb of God. So, I mean, those 3 albums keep coming up in people's top albums of the year so far. So I think I'm very happy to be sat in company with those 2 bands. So yeah, I mean, if we can stay in the top 3 with those albums this year, I shall be over the moon, to say the least.
And Strike Fast, Strike Hard is really the opening song, even though it's listed as track 2. It's an amazing song to open the album with. How challenging is tracking in general?
Playing the tracks? Well, there's 4 tracks of guitar, so there's 2 left and 2 right, so you've got to be pretty bang on. But I put a lot of time and effort in before we go in the studio, you know, because obviously time's money, and when we get in there, we don't want to be wasting time. But as I said, just put loads and loads of time into pre-preparation and before an album, and it's the guy I got a go-to guy who I always record the guitars with. I know he's amazing. And he pushes me to the limit. He doesn't let me get away with anything. So it's great to work with. It's a nice, relaxed atmosphere, just me and him in the studio. But yeah, I love it. I love going in the studio. It's a challenge, but I love rising to the challenge and trying to get the best out of myself or making myself better each time. And yeah, it was a challenging track, but it's just got lots of energy. We managed to capture something. I don't know how. What's been different. We did seem to do everything the same on the last 3, 4 albums, you know. But this one seems to be different. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on what we did any different. But it's just got some kind of different energy.
And you are currently number 1 on the Loud Rock charts, right above Static X. You must be honored, proud, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I got a charter yesterday, and we've had good chart positions in Germany and the UK. And today, to pick that up yesterday, you know, and look at the list of bands below us, which included the likes of Lamb of God and stuff, you know, that was amazing. So, yeah, blown away, absolutely blown away. So, just hope it leads to bigger and better things.
How familiar are you with reaction videos? And do you think they're sort of silly?
No, I'm not very aware of what that is, actually. If you can enlighten me, sir.
Reaction videos, they're very popular at the moment, where people film themselves reacting to an album or a song.
Yeah, I see.
And they seem to be very helpful for some bands as a way of introducing, obviously, their audience to new acts.
Yeah, I did see one actually the other day. I know what you're on about now. Somebody sent me a link through this guy. He was just watching the video for religious suicide, and it was incredible because the track fades in. It's very filtered and quiet as it builds up, and then the track just kicks in, bang, and it was hilarious watching his reaction because he obviously was clearly not expecting it to do that. Just as I went when I heard the mix of that song first time, it caught me completely out and blew me away. But yeah, it was great watching that video, and he was he loved the song, and his speech after was real cool.
It's almost it's like a new form of review.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I'd like to check some more out. Actually, I just, like I said, I watched one. And it was brilliant. So I will be on the lookout for those.
Has Sky Keeler gone for good?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I think he may do one or two guest appearances for us. Maybe come on, do one or two tracks at some point. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I don't. There will be no return now. But we're hoping he's going to make a couple of appearances live with us sometime in the future, which would be really nice.
Yeah, no hard feelings. It's nice to hear. There are no hard feelings, because oftentimes there is, and it's just resentments for decades.
Yeah, I mean we've had that ourselves in the past, but now things are cool. We obviously had our own reasons, both of us. So it was just best for the band and the best for Cy. What happened, his life needed to move on, and what he's doing now, he really enjoys, which is very commendable for him. He loves what he's doing, and I think he just lost the love of touring and stuff, So you're not going to put somebody in a position who doesn't enjoy what they're doing when they've got something else that they found that they do enjoy. So it was kind of inevitable. It's kind of on the cards for the last couple of years, I think. But yeah, it's all good, and I'm sure we will see Cy at some point in the future.
And new vocalist David Garnett?
Yeah,
is vocalist number 6, and he plays with James Perry, the drummer, in another band. Is that right?
Yeah. They've been best buddies since they were kids. I think, as far as I know, they're from a place called Weymouth in England, and that's how we got on to Dave, really, through James. Cy was unavailable for a festival earlier in the year, and James said, let's ask Dave to fill in, which he did, and he was incredible. So we didn't really need to look anywhere else once we were kind of aware of the oncoming situation with Cy. So got Dave to record some demo tracks, which was fantastic, and we offered him the job, and within 3 weeks he was in the studio recording the new album.
And every new member brings their own flavor, if you will. What kind of flavor does David bring?
Obviously, they're very similar, him and Cy, in some ways, I think. But I think whereas Cy had a massive vocal range and a very thick, dense voice, I think Dave's got a much more aggressive voice in the kind of mid-range, which suits thrash metal perfectly, I think. And particularly this album, with the kind of approach we've taken with the album and the kind of final sound we've gone for, Dave's voice just really, really fits this perfectly. It was like he's been with us for years on this album. So, but yeah, they're both great vocalists, and Dave sounds really good doing the old classic material as well, which was very important for us that was the case, because obviously when we play shows, we still play a lot of that music, and the fans want to hear that music, and they want to hear it right. They don't want to hear some kind of different version which kind of happened with Steve Grimmett when he joined for the In Search of Sanity album. And the older tracks or the stuff from the Force and Power from Hell really started to sound a lot different, and the fans didn't take to that very, very well.
And that was a time of budgets much higher
Yeah.
back then.
Certainly
was there much money squandered on
there was muchas money squandered. It was crazy, absolutely ridiculous. When you think what we made this album for, and the last album and the one before that, and then we look at what we spent on the In Search of Sanity album, and the sonic qualities between those albums is just horrendous. And when we spent 10 times the amount on In Search of Sanity, at least, in comparison with Generation Antichrist. And for me, it just pales into insignificance. In Search of Sanity album compared to this new one. It's weak. It's okay. It's clear and it's polished, but I don't know. It just lacks energy and anything for me. And to think that cost 10, 12, 13 times more than this album, to me, is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Well, were there people just waiting to get a piece of your dosh when the budget was as high as it was? Yeah,
basically.
Were you surrounded by more snakes back then?
No, not really. I mean, we were kind of careful, but our manager was he had a lot of big ideas, and a lot of big ideas took a lot of money, you know. And the thing is, the label we signed to London Records, which is basically a subsidiary of Polygram Records, they were kind of a trendy pop label, but they'd licensed Faith No More album, and they'd licensed Rain in Blood, and they really wanted to get their fingers into the metal market, you know. And they were just hipsters at the time. All they were trying to be was trendy and cool. They're just throwing money around like water, and their intention for us was to be the UK Metallica, you know, but they wanted it straight away. There was no long-term plan or vision for the band. They just tried to get immediate success for us. Which, don't get me wrong, the album sold massively well. I think it number 32 in the UK national charts. Sold like 30,000 copies in the UK in the first week. So the numbers were huge, and it went on to sell worldwide lots and lots of albums. So, but just the overall, I don't know, the overall approach to everything, it just wasn't right. We obviously realised we'd made a mistake by signing to that label, and it kind of destroyed the career the first time around, which was a shame. We should have been upwards and onwards, and instead it ground everything to a halt.
Well, you're back massively now. That's so we could be thankful for that. Jeff and you have been together for quite some time now. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I know Jeff after Onslaught split in '91. I did this other kind of cool project, and that was with Jeff. So I've known him back since 92, 93, I think. So when Onslaught got back together, he was the kind of go-to guy to say, "Do you want to come and do this with us?" So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much on the same wavelength. Different types of music we like, but then we've got the consensual love for the band, you know, and everything we do is pretty much agreed between us. We work on everything together, pretty much make all the decisions together, and it works well. We've got the same vision for the band, and it's been growing and growing, and it's seeming to come to fruition at last. So yeah, I mean, we're working on lots of stuff together every day. I mean, we're in contact constantly, so it's always onslaught for us too, and I think that's obviously the common factor between us, but it works well, just us two running everything.
Have all the old just a few more questions. Have all the old demos been re-released, and has there been any thought of re-recording an old record, an old one?
Yeah, there's I think something got released in 2008, something called Shadow of Death. I think that had a lot of the demos on it. But yeah, we've been thinking about it. I mean, Jeff did raise this. He said maybe we should record one of the old demo tracks as a bonus or something. So that's I think that's something we're going to look at. I mean, maybe see what's the most kind of adaptable track that is going to fit kind of ish with what we're doing these days. We've actually used some riffs from the early days, the demos or stuff that it didn't even reach demo. I think the chorus was a riff I had back from 1983. The chorus in Strike Fast, Strike Hard was an old riff that I decided to bring out of retirement, and it worked amazingly well. So I'm going to be scanning the old stuff for things I can use again. And yeah, I think it would be kind of cool to maybe do one of the older tracks as a bonus.
And you appear to be in good hands over there at AFM Records. You talk a little bit about Dustin Hardman and AFM Records.
Yeah, Dustin's our one of our PR guys in the States. Does a great job for us. You know, we've been working with Dustin now for 3 albums. I think we had Adrenaline PR working with us on this record as well, which was amazing. They did a fantastic job for us. So we had double PR in the States, which has been great. AFM, they're like a family label to us now, and this is one thing that I learned from the days of Polygram, because obviously we got offers from other labels, but we want to stay where we're wanted. You know, we're a kind of one of the bigger fish in the sea there. We know everybody. It's like a family, and I don't want to break that like we did before, because we were with Music for Nations on the Force album, and it was the same kind of vibe with the label. You know, really friendly. You just walk into the office anytime you like, have a coffee, you can phone up the MD any time of the week and just speak to him straight away. And obviously, when we signed to Polygram, all that went, you know, it went very corporate and very unfamily like, and I don't want to risk that again, you know. So it's nice to be in a label where you speak to them. I mean, I've been speaking to them every single day. We're out fail for about 4 months now, 5 months, every single day, different departments, and they're back to you within an hour, you know, all the time. So it's great to have somebody on board like that who's looking after you, and got your album in their hearts, you know. So I'm very happy with what they're doing at the moment, and the chart positions have just compounded that. It's been great.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and MetalgodZradiO. We look forward to you coming to America. I know you were supposed to come here with the California Death Fest. Is that right?
Yeah, we were coming over. That would have been June, but we were doing Maryland Death Fest and California Death Fest, and October, November we were due to come to do full US Canada tour. All the work visas were in place, so all that process we've got to go through again now, and then obviously rebook the tour, redo the visas and everything. So major headache. So it's a case of reworking that. I believe that the California and the Maryland Death Fest have been rescheduled, and we are on the bills again. But we just got to hope this virus is gone by then, you know.
Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with anybody that might be listening to us?
Yeah, just everybody be safe, you know. I mean, the situation's not great where you are. It's not great where we are, but we need to get back to normal. I think we're all missing the live shows, fans and bands alike. So just everybody take care, and please go and check out the new album. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.